Okay, that must be you.
Thank you.
Yes. Mm. All right. Mhm. Right. All right, now that's peculiar. Hang on, something's goofy here. Hmm. All right, we'll trust the process. So welcome back. I think I'm recording. Um, anyway, we are ACI Course 11, Class 8, Class 9 on February 9th, 2026. 2 classes from now will be our review class, Class 11. And those of you who have studied with me know that you teach me the review. And so that means on next class at the beginning, I'll assign the homework, the final exam questions. So if you want to play and you are not obligated, be there in class, next class, to get your answer, your question. So those who are on the recording hearing this, if they want to participate, they'll need to show up in class next Thursday, next Friday morning, my Friday morning, in order to get a question. So that's there. So let's gather our minds here as we usually do. Please bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. And see them here with you. They are gazing at you with their unconditional love for you, smiling at you with their holy great compassion. Their wisdom radiates from them. That beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try to help fall short. How wonderful it will be when we can also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they will go on to stop their distress forever. Deep down, we know this is possible. Learning about emptiness and karma, we glimpse how it's possible. And so I invite you to grow that wish into a longing. And that longing into an intention. And with that intention, we turn our minds back to our precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please, 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 teach me that, show me that. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the pure world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands, and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamirya Tayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community, through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest. May we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings totally awaken for the benefit of every single other. So the last few classes we've been working on the chapter on meditation, technically the perfection of meditation. And surprisingly, it has not been a chapter on how to meditate. It's been a chapter on what to meditate on. So he's pointing out not that it's not important to learn the method called meditation, but he's pointing out that we can learn to be a really good meditator on any old object and reap the benefits that come from being able to concentrate deeply. But he's pointing out that more important than that is the object of our meditation, what we focus our mind on, because we are still planting seeds, making imprints in our mind while we are meditating. And in fact, we're making them in a highly concentrated, powerful way, or we have the opportunity to do so when what we're focusing our mind on is a powerful thing, powerfully virtuous. And so he's wanting to share with his audience a most powerful object. I want to say the most powerful object, but that would be debatable because, well, for a lot of reasons. But so the object of meditation that he says we should turn our minds to when we reach that isolation, whether it's a physical isolation or a mental isolation, is to turn our minds on this practice of self, others, exactly the same. To grow that intellectual understanding, to grow it into realizations, making it real versus just theoretical. So we went through some of his reasonings in last class. And in Gyaltsabje's commentary, he gave us those two syllogisms through which we can investigate whether or not it is true that love and compassion, when love and compassion are our guiding factors in making our choices, that will be the source of the spiritual progress that we're saying we want to make towards becoming a being who can help others in that deep and ultimate way. So we're saying we want to help others become ultimately happy. He's saying, let's show ourselves that the way to do that is to cultivate our own compassion and love. So Gyaltsabje gave us those two syllogisms The first one, consider the pain of other living beings. It is right that I must stop it because it is pain. It is like, for example, the pain I feel myself. And then he said, consider the happiness of other beings. It is right that I must work to bring it about because each person out there is a living being, right? Because they are living beings. It's like, for example, the way I work to bring happiness to my own body. And when we worked with those two logical statements, it gives us this tool to look at our own beliefs, right? Our own behaviors, compare it to what he's trying to say in those two logical statements to come to our own conclusion, whether or not it seems that training ourselves in self, other, exactly the same, is something that would be beneficial in the long run. Because our ignorant me sees that it is not beneficial in the short run, or it doesn't seem like it's going to be beneficial in the short run to treat others' pain like my pain. I can't. Yes, Kongli. I can't deal with everybody's pain. I know everybody's in pain. It's too much. And our argument that he's pointing out is, no, Master Shantideva, others' pain is not my responsibility because I can't feel it. Right? We have some like deep belief that if I'm not experiencing the pain, it's not my responsibility. Right? It's coming out of my belief in self-existent me versus self-existent you. It's a reasonable human feeling. If anyway, it is overwhelming to think, oh my gosh, is Buddha saying I need to buy shoes for everybody who needs a new pair? Even who wants a new pair, whether they need it or not? Like, I don't have those resources. I don't have that capacity. And he's saying to us, you're mistaken. You do actually have that capacity when we understand where those results might come from. Understanding the laws of karma and karma grows. So Master Shantideva is trying to help us overcome this thinking that if I'm not experiencing that pain, it's not my problem. He says it's not about growing our compassion such that we actually do feel the other's pain. It's about growing the feeling about someone else's pain in the same way we feel about our pain. So when we have some unpleasant experience, our first ignorant reaction is to reject it. We want to push it away. And then we act in some way that we think is going to work in the moment to give us some kind of resolution or result. And then we act in some way to try to prevent it in the future. We do the same thing with our growing wisdom. An unpleasant thing comes up. Our sense of reject, however, we train to turn into a sense of regret because our wisdom is growing that we know the punchline. Any pain I experience is a result of some way that I've harmed someone in the past. And I regret that I caused it, and I regret that I'm feeling it. And then I respond in some way. But now, because of my understanding my response, I'm trying harder and harder to make my response be one that doesn't perpetuate the suffering, some kinder response than my automatic one. And then in my prevention, I'm looking for where is it that I'm causing those feelings that I had that set off this whole chain reaction. So he's not saying train ourselves to feel others' pain. Train ourselves to feel about others' pain in the same way we feel about our own. It's a significant difference. And our minds reject it because we don't want to. It's hard enough to deal with our own discomforts, displeasures, pains. It's too overwhelming to say, no, everybody's. Come on, Master Shantideva. He was pointing out to us and will continue to do so that it we make decisions all the time about the level of discomfort we're willing to tolerate, even in our ignorance as adult humans. There's all kinds of unpleasantnesses that we experience all day long that we just don't even need to address directly. Things that when we were little kids would have been, right? We don't even notice now. And in the same way, we can come to decide that any distress that I am aware of in somebody else, we decide to what extent that's tolerable and intolerable. He's pointing out if we can do that with our own pain, which we do, then we can do it with the pain that we're aware of in our world. We just don't want to. So he goes into this argument, our Mr. Kachik, who's still holding to his premise, if I don't feel their pain, it's not my responsibility. Actually, you know what? Let me talk about it before I show you the verses. And then when we read the verses, you'll go, oh, that's what she was talking about. Or that's what he's talking about. So he gives what are called classic kangyurs in Tibetan, or yeah, just like that, Chris. The in Sanskrit, it's a prasangika. It's the term for a sarcastic statement that if the person who hears it just thinks it through, they will come to this new conclusion. So you don't have to go explaining the long story about the conclusion. You just give them this short, sarcastic one-liner and they'll go, right? It's really quite extraordinary when we get the hang of these sarcastic statements. So Esther Shantideva says, He's pointing out our inconsistency. When we say, I feel my own pain, so I should act to take care of it. I don't feel the other person's pain, so it's not my responsibility. Master Shantideva addresses that and he says, well, look, then why do you act today to protect yourself from some discomfort in the future? And then he leaves it there. And we're supposed to think it through. Wait a minute. Like, what's he really trying to say? So suppose, Geshe-la's example, suppose you know on Monday that tomorrow you have a meeting with that boss and you know the boss is going to land on you for something and you know it's going to be unpleasant and you're thinking, maybe they'll even fire me this time. And I don't want to experience that. And so, gee whiz, Tuesday morning comes along, I wake up, I've got a headache. It's not a bad headache, but my mind says, oh, this is going to go on to a migraine. You can't go to work today. So you call in sick. But really, I'm trying to avoid having that meeting with the boss, trying to put it off, thinking, right, subconsciously or consciously, if I do this differently, that won't happen. And Master Shantideva is saying, why do we do that? If we're consistent in saying, I don't feel their pain, so I shouldn't act to stop it. He says, why do you act on Tuesday morning to avoid the meeting on Tuesday afternoon? Because you don't feel that pain either. It hasn't happened yet. And yet you're doing stuff to take care of it. In fact, you're doing stuff that when it comes back to you will give you an unpleasant result. So right, you do take care of pains that you don't feel. He's going to go on to say, and further, we take care of ourselves in the future. Like in the far future, not just tomorrow's future. We think I need to put money away for retirement because when I'm old, I'm still going to need food and clothing and somebody to help me, and I'm going to have to pay for that stuff, and I won't be working anymore because working is where money comes from, right? So I have to put money away in order to get my needs met when I'm an old geezer. He says, come on, that old geezer doesn't even exist now. It does. You're not even sure it's gonna exist, are you? So why do you put money away for that thing that doesn't exist? You don't even know it's gonna exist. Hasn't happened yet. It's years in the future anyway. When there's somebody right here in front of you who's having a need now. Why is that future you that doesn't even exist and avoiding their pain that doesn't even exist? Why do you act for that and not for this one right here? On the level of who needs it more, right? The one in need now needs it more. And karmically speaking, how do we make sure that our needs get met in the future anyway? Is it by putting all that money in the bank or under your mattress or whatever you do with it? Or is it taking care of somebody's needs now? Right? All he says is, why do you take care of your future you? It's this sarcastic response. He says, furthermore, if we continue to say, no, I'm only responsible for this one me. He says, well, then why does your hand reach down to pull the thorn out of your foot? Right? That's his next sarcastic statement. No, Master Shantideva, I can only be responsible for my own pain because I'm the one that feels it. Well, then why do you act to prevent a future you's pain, future you's not feeling it yet? Why does your hand pull the sticker out of the foot? Thank goodness for commentary, right? So who's feeling the pain? The foot. Who's having the suffering? The foot. Why does hand care? It's not having any pain. And we go, that's silly, hand, foot. It's me that has the pain in my foot. And it's me that has a hand that can send it down there to pull the sticker out of the foot. Yeah, it's me that has the pain, Master Shantideva. That's why my hand pulls the sticker out. And he says, right and wrong, actually, because the very fact that we send the hand that doesn't hurt down to the foot to take the sticker out that's making the foot hurt means that we do see that something that doesn't feel the pain can act to take away pain from something that does have the pain. He says, come on. You and somebody else's pain that you are aware of, send you the hand to that foot and take away the sticker. Or don't bother to take away your own sticker. Be consistent here, is what he's wanting us to do. It sounds silly, but it's the same argument. Yeah, let me show you the verses up to here. Where are we? I'm not bring you over here. We're doing verses. Yeah. Come on, fingers cooperate. I see everybody but Kongli. Suppose you say that the reason why you don't protect them is that their pain doesn't hurt you. Why then do you protect yourself from future pain, since it doesn't do hurt to you either? Right? Your idea that you do so because you think to yourself, that you will have to experience it is all wrong. Because the one who has already died is one person, and the one who has taken birth is another altogether. In Geshe Michael's commentary, he didn't go to future life me, he went to tomorrow's me about avoiding things we do to avoid unpleasant things that could happen before we even got there. Here, Master Shantideva is pointing out that actually the things we do now to bring about the relief from distress and trying to bring about happiness are planting seeds in our mind that we likely are not going to actually experience in this lifetime. There's seeds that are going to happen to a future me. And so to think that what I do today brings about what happens next is so mistaken that it can't work anyway. Even when it looks like it works, it's not working. Technically, even when we respond kindly to the boss instead of meanly to the boss, how the boss responds to our response is not a result of our response. The reason we respond kindly instead of meanly is because we want to stop future experiences of mean people. When's that going to happen? Tomorrow? The next day? 17 lifetimes from now? I don't know. But it will happen because we've planted the seed. So he's pointing out, everybody's going to die. I'm going to die. Why am I making excuses for just taking care of this one when this one that I'm taking care of or trying to is just going to be dead any given 4 minutes from now? And so is the other one. But then it's like, oh, well, then why bother to do anything? We're all just going to be dead. Because the mind stream goes on, right? And there is another birth, and that the karma continues. And suppose that any particular pain were only something a particular one had to care about. If this were the case, then a pain in the foot would be nothing for the hand. Why then does it care? Suppose you say that, although that's wrong, you engage in this case due to the fact that you hold on to a self. So that's awkward English, isn't it? He's going to start into his like window into the wisdom chapter. This self and other, though, are very wrong and nothing but something you should reject with all the strength that we have. So we're going to go into that very shortly. Self, other, right? We're in self, other, exactly the same. Now he's saying self, other. Wait a minute. Maybe we're thinking of those things wrongly. And that in order to be able to grow this self, other, exactly the same, to the level he's pushing us to, we need to understand what we mean by self, what we mean by other. And we'll see when we see the punchline to that. We already know the punchline. It's all my projection. But this will help us dig into reaching that conclusion ourselves instead of it being our fallback, right? Parrot response. So let me switch over and show you the vocabulary so far. Where are we? Here we are. Okay. Dakshinyampa is what we're still working on. Here's the Tangira, the sarcastic response, prasangika in Sanskrit. He's just showed us that the reason we are clinging to our idea, my pain is my pain, your pain is your pain, I'm responsible for mine, not yours, is because we are still thinking of me and an other in the wrong way. And he's going to use these different examples. Sokpa with the example mak and gyu, with the example trengwa, as to show our misunderstanding. And he uses the term zumpa for that. So Dzogpa means a collection of parts. Mak means an army. Zumpa means not real, fake, artificial, not like they're a cardboard cutout, but well, I'll explain what it means. And then gyu means a stream, and trengwa is like the beads on a mala, like moments of time strung together. So I just want you to see that, and then I'm going to ditch it and go back to us. Okay, so you with me? And now he's going into showing us why we are clinging to our belief, no, their pain is their pain, my pain is my pain. Why that belief is mistaken. He said what we believe is self and what we believe is other are just wrong. They're mistaken. So to understand that concept, we need to understand this idea of Dzogpa, a collection of parts. So when we consider our body is a thing that is a collection of parts, right? Here we are. We talked about it before, right? Your hands, your feet, how many? We have these parts. And then our mind takes those parts and it comes up with my body. And then we think there's this thing, my body. This is made up of these things, my parts. And he says, Zumpa, artificial, unreal. The body that we come up with as this thing made up of parts, he goes, no, that's unreal. Does it mean it's not there? No, that would be ridiculous. Here it is. He's pointing out that this thing we come up with, my body, it's an idea. It's an idea made up of all of these parts. all of these parts together and we come up with the idea. If it were a thing unto itself, made up of those parts, and you remove one part, it can no longer be that thing. We can have our hand cut off. We don't become not my body. Well, how much of my body has to go away before it's not my body anymore? So he's not saying we don't have a body. We do. He's not saying we don't have parts. We do. But the body is not a thing. The parts are things. Until we go looking at the thing, my hand. Now, the thing, my hand, is the idea made up of these different parts. The parts are there. The idea, my hand, is here. But the my hand is an idea, not a thing. It doesn't become a substantial thing. Do you see the importance of that? We're saying, I'm not responsible for that other guy's pain because I don't feel it. They are not a part of me. Only experiences that are a part of me are my responsibility. He's pointing out the ramifications of that. The hand, the foot, the my experience are all these parts that I gather together and put on me and mine. And then I act to protect them. We say anything that's included in my parts are my responsibility. And anything that's outside of my parts is not my responsibility. And Master Shanti Davis says, Zimpa, that's unreal. He says, because it's like muck, it's like an army. So wait a minute. I'm thinking my collection of my parts makes up my body, and then my body is there. He says, no. Yes, it is true, because if it's outside of my experience, I can't, it's not my responsibility. He says, no. Mistake. He gives the example of the army. So suppose there's a bunch of guys in those kind of uniforms, and we see them, and we go, oh, American Army. We think there is a thing called American Army, that all those guys in those uniforms, each one is a piece of, and they make up this thing, American Army. And then we automatically believe that anybody looking at that group of individuals would say, oh, American Army. Because we believe that that is American Army over there. But then we apply our reasoning and we go, wait, no. What if you don't know American Army? You could look at all those guys standing there and you wouldn't come up with American Army. if you didn't know what those uniforms look like, if you didn't know Army? What if you're the little dog, little, oh, I forget Pia's dog's name. Chris's is Maichi. What if the little dog is looking at those bunch of guys? They're not going, oh, American Army. Or even the human baby doesn't look at them. It's not American Army, is it? Except by way of how my mind takes the information, lays on an idea, and then takes the idea for something in it, from it, with its own reality, with its own function. Why is that helpful towards our argument saying, I'm me, I'm separate. Your distress is not my responsibility. No, it's like an army. You see a bunch of individuals. They are the parts that make up the whole, in the same way that these are the parts that make up my whole. Anywhere there are parts that make up a whole, if you are the whole, aren't you responsible for all the parts? Right? We say, all these parts make up me, so I'm responsible for all these parts. Well, come on. You are responsible for the idea American Army. So doesn't that now make you responsible for every one of the parts in that American Army? If you are going to be consistent with your own argument, honey, then all of a sudden, I'm responsible for all the different parts in that American Army. Or the people at the picnic, or everybody at the restaurant, or everyone at work, right? And it's like, I can't do that, right? I can't go and pay the bill for everybody in the restaurant. Oh, I guess I'll just avoid restaurants so I don't have to put myself in that position to not do it. Yikes, right? Some of the conclusions, when our mind refuses to go right in the direction of karma and emptiness, our mind comes up with these really funny things to protect our self-existent me. I catch myself doing it all the time. Mhm. So he's pointing out that the it's our mind that puts on that label American Army, showing us that that group of people gathered together does not have the nature of being American Army without my input. And again, our mind goes, no, but I walk away, there's still American Army there. But technically, we can't say that. Because what if everybody witnessing that group of people, if nobody in the everybody who's witnessing them knows American Army, are they American Army? No. So our 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 clinging to the level of American Army in it, from it, if we were to go that direction, which we're not gonna, would take us through these different levels of understanding karma and emptiness that we'll get into actually in course 12 and then again in 15. So he's pointing out that our claim that me and my parts, me and my experience are the border of what I'm responsible for. He's pointing out how and why that's so mistaken. He's already pointed out that our behavior is inconsistent with what we're claiming because we've already expanded our border of self in different circumstances and taken care of others equal to ourselves with children, with favorite belongings. And then we've also taken care of our own future self to avoid pain. But we're claiming that we can't take care of others' pain because we don't feel it. He's saying, or because they aren't mine. He's pointing out with the army, the American Army idea is mine. And so if me and mine are what under my responsibility, then American Army is under my responsibility also. Each of those parts, different beings. Okay? So now Geshe pointed out that as we're catching on to what Master Shantideva is saying, we might be thinking, oh, okay, so limiting myself, my boundary of myself to me is mistaken. But what would be right is to expand my sense of me to include everything I'm experiencing. That would be right. And Geshe is pointing out that, in fact, both of those are artificial. So it's not more real to say, oh, the boundary of me is really everything I'm experiencing at the moment. The boundary of me is not really this, it's really that. Because then we're imposing this self-existentness onto something that is still projected reality. It is equally artificial to expand our boundary to include all, as it is artificial to say, no, my boundary ends here, so this is all I'm responsible for. When we limit our boundary here, we limit the happiness we can make, and we limit the suffering we can remove. When we expand our boundary to include more, whether it's one or two or countless, we expand the amount of happiness we can create and the amount of suffering we can take away. Which one's more intelligent? To work for only one? Or to work for 10? Or 20? Or billions? Which makes more sense? Like, which is more logical? Emotionally, we say, I have to work for this one first. And then when everything's cool with me, then I can turn to others. But we don't understand how to make things cool with this one. So we don't ever get there. And so we don't ever try on for size the expanding. But it's not that it's more real to expand ourselves. It's an important piece of this understanding about collection of parts, me, so I take care of me. Collection of others into an idea, but I'm not responsible for them. Wait, but I could be, right? I could decide that I will be. Why would I do that? To make seeds in my mind that will grow me in the direction of perceiving myself as one who is satisfying the needs of self and others. What's that? Omniscient Buddha, me, and Buddha paradise emanating. Isn't that what we say we're trying to reach? We're not ever going to make it if we keep limiting our me as coming from these parts to the exclusion of those parts. Geshe-la said anything that we do that does not bring us happiness is dysfunctional. And technically, everything that we do in the moment, we do to bring happiness in the next moment, and it can't. Even when it looks like it does, it didn't. So everything we do is dysfunctional. Like, just, I'll go to bed now and not get out of bed. It feels like that, but it's the wrong conclusion. Because it's not what we're doing that's dysfunctional. It's why I'm doing it. It's my thinking about it. Our me can include everything about our experience at any given moment. And when our idea of me gets expanded to that, it will be no more effort to take care of that me as it has been to take care of this me, which is actually quite a lot of effort, but it will be automatic to attend to those others, right? You ladies who have puppies, you're doing it, right? Already. You ladies who had children, you were doing it. Grandmas and their grandbabies, right? They're all doing it. We're all doing it in our own arenas, automatically taking care of someone else. We do it as we drive. Stop at every red light. We're taking care of others. We just don't realize our capacity. Let's take a break. Yes, Joanna, Frank, Jerona, Frank, whoever's hand is up.
Thank you. So, Namasari, can you explain what does artificial mean? So, is it means in opposite to what? So, artificial sounds for me very arbitrary. So, is arbitrariness also artificial? So what is artificial?
Yeah. Geshe-la tries to explain artificial as if you have a cup of coffee, they can bring you a little pitcher of cream, or they could bring you those little cups of dairy creamer that's made out of other stuff, but it's meant to do the same thing as the cream. And when they say, which would you like, cream or the fake stuff? Right? We've got the real thing, cream, and we've got the fake stuff. That's still something there, but it's not what we are thinking it is. So when we're making this point about artificial, in the example of my collection of parts, and I come up with my body, I think that my body as a whole, I think of my body as a whole like I think of cream, when in fact it's like more like it's the creamer. It's made up of other things that I put a label onto and then mistake the label for something real. So when I say this is my body, I think of it as something in reality as a whole. But I don't have a whole body ever. I've only got whatever collection of parts are present at the moment for that body. The body itself is an idea that I'm holding to as having some kind of reality of its own. When its only reality is my idea put onto these parts. It isn't arbitrary in the sense that, oh, I can just decide that it's my body. It's forced on me to say my body. It's even forced on me to misunderstand that body. So the artificial doesn't mean arbitrary in the sense that random. It's not random, and it's not by choice, which arbitrary would imply that I could just choose different, and I can't. So really, it's more like mistaken. The artificial or fake is mistaken. There's actually a different word for mistaken, so they don't mean that exactly. Because we are fooled by our own misperception, and in that way, it's fake. Geshe-la likes that word fake. There's something there that we believe is there for real, and it's not there for real, but it's not that it's not there at all. Right?
So thank you. Something we have to.
Chew on, chew on, chew on.
Yeah. So if I understood it right, so our mind is always making some outline of a thing and put something in and something and let something out. And this is what happened all the time.
Yeah,
So and when I, for example, cut away my thumb and I see only the four fingers, then this
right.
is the outside and this is the inside, and then I say
Yeah,
this is the body and this is not. This is
right,
the thing that we all work all the time. But
right.
the problem is, and for this time, it's arbitrary because I have the choice to cut it away.
True.
But of course, the reality is, say, I would never do it
Right,
because, okay, my thumb is very important for me, and there you
right,
can see it. It's me.
right,
It's saying,
right,
oh no, it's my thumb.
right,
And I know, okay,
right.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
And I understood what, because the mistaken is where the name artificial is connected to mistaken.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Great stuff.
So, secondly, he's pointing out that another misunderstanding we have. Wait, where'd Roxana go? Another misunderstanding that we have has to do with our me as it streams through time. The term gyu is stream, a stream through time. So for our own self, we think of ourselves as this continuum through time. So there was a Sarani when she was born. That wasn't her name then, but it was this one. And then as a toddler, and then as a little school kid, and then, right, you get the idea. All the way up to Sarani now. And we string all of these moments together and call it my life, me and my life. And we hold that my life as a thing, some kind of almost tangible thing. And when considered in this way, each one of these time frames of my life are the parts of me, my life, and we string them all together and call them me. It's another boundary of me that I have. Not a physical boundary, but a way of identifying me out of the all experience. So we, as we're growing up, we are taught, you grow up, you become adult, then you're responsible to take care of yourself. And if you have a family, you'll be responsible for taking care of the family. And so you'll need some kind of training so you can get some kind of work so that you can, right, have the resources to take care of your family. And as we said before, be sure to put away a little for later so that when you're too old to work, you can still get your needs met. And so we conventionally, do our training, spend however many years of our lives, right? For me, it was from, I don't know, 18 to 25, where I got all my training and my professional training, and then launched my career and worked, 20 years or so in that conventional world before it all shifted. And it just shifted into some other way of sustaining myself, me and my family. And I was good at it. And it felt successful. And a part of me still says, and it was successful because now I work and I get my needs met. And so it worked. And Master Shantideva says, Zumpa, fake, misunderstanding. It looks like it worked. But it wasn't from all that stuff that I did. What? You mean I could have done none of it and I would still be here? Is that necessarily true? No. Am I experiencing the results of what I did when I was in college now? No. Am I experiencing influences? Sure. Those seeds planted what I planted during all these strings of moments of my life, I don't know, maybe none of those have ripened yet. I don't know. Maybe they're not going to ripen until 12 lifetimes from now. Give them a chance to grow. Mostly they were kind. What I've been experiencing in all that time is results of past behaviors towards others, whether I knew it or not. What I did was planting seeds that will ripen in the future. And so this moments of time strung together as me and my life in this stream, what seems like this stream, he says, actually, it's like Trengwa. Trengwa means a string of anything, a bunch of things strung together, like flower garland, like a necklace, like a mala. When we consider a mala, a rosary, it's a string of beads. Each bead is individual. It's not the other bead. They may all look identical, but each one is itself. And you string them all together and you have a rosary. And we think the rosary is the thing in the same way that we think my body is the thing or the American Army is the thing, when all of those things are just ideas from an accumulation of information that receives the idea. But then we act towards the idea as if it's the whole thing, the real thing. That's what's artificial. That's what's mistaken. Is there a mala there? Yes and no, right? Is there a string of beads? Yes. Can we use it as a string of beads? Yes. But it's individual moments. Our life through time is individual moments that we call my life. And it works. It functions. But there isn't a thing, my life. There's only this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment. And then the idea, my life, me and my life. Why is he talking about that? We have said, I should only be responsible for the experience I have, my pain. Don't hold me responsible for other people's pain because I don't feel it. Okay, then why do you work to avoid your own future pain? You don't feel that either. Why do you send your hand to take out the foot's thorn? Your hand doesn't feel the foot. It should refuse. I don't have to do that. The foot needs to take out its own thorn. If we're being consistent, why do I go to college to get a better job, to get better income, to take care of my people? Right? If they're right, if I don't feel their pain, he says it's like, right? Your body made up of parts, the American Army and the mullah in the string of time. They are significant arguments, Geshe-la says. If they seem superficial or silly, we need to dig into them deeper. At any given time, we only have me in the present moment. That's all we have to experience. And in fact, when we go trying to find the present moment, that is all we have to experience, we can't even find it. Because by the time we find our present moment, it's gone. We're in a new one, which is one of the doorways into the no self nature of those moments of time. Just we'll do that in another class, another course. So we're defining ourselves at a certain time in a certain way. And we think it's the same. But come on, think back when you were 10. Are you the same as now? Of course not. But think about yesterday. Are you the same as today? Well, it sure seems like, but technically, we're no more the same today from tomorrow as we are from when we were 10 to now. And we go, no, that's a lot of more time difference. But moment by moment by moment, right? Okay, we are shape shifting. So we are defining our me moment by moment as being me. And we are defining others moment by moment as others. Geshe-la's pointing out that Master Shantideva is pointing out that we are doing so automatically that we don't recognize that that too is an idea put onto parts. And so it could be done differently. We're forced to do it the way we do it by our past imprints made by doing it in the same way. But that doesn't mean we have to always do it in the same way, because karmic seeds are influenced by current behavior that makes new karmic seeds. So by some miracle, we have the goodness ripening that we are hearing words in such a way that we're cracking our belief in a me and other in the way we've always perceived them. And we have the karmic goodness to not hear a message like that and reject it flatly and run away, because we're still here talking about it, the pet. So we want to ride that goodness, perpetuate it, grow it, so that we can continue to delve into the mistake that we're making as we go through our day-to-day me versus other attitude, right? That's happening by way of karmic seeds ripening and has no more reality than that. And that is our reality. So when we are perceiving another's distress, and we are making a decision as to whether or not to somehow address that other person's distress. Our misunderstanding, our misbelief about me as having some independent existence, independent of my current moment's experience. That misunderstanding makes me have to choose between taking care of me with my old boundary and taking care of them. As long as I'm still holding a me and a them, I will have to make this choice. Is their need important enough to this me to somehow use my own resources on their behalf, whether it's physical resources, money, or emotional resources, or even just time resource? Right? We're making these distinctions. That's what it is to be a human adult, is to make these distinctions. And we're making those distinctions based on this misunderstanding that my me stops here and their me starts over there. And we are separate. You see where he's saying, no, we're not separate. We're like the army. We're like the strings on the bead. We're like the collection of parts. What if I included their hands, their feet in my collection of parts? Then wouldn't I automatically take care of those? If I saw a thorn in that foot, it wouldn't matter if I felt it or not. I would send this hand to go take the thorn out of that foot. It would be just like if one of my feet were numb. I wouldn't know the sticker was in it from the foot, but if my eyeballs said, "Whoa, there's a sticker in that foot," take it out. It's forced by our past karma of our past misunderstanding me as separate from you, for me to say, no, the sticker's in your foot, you deal with it. Now that we hear that and we're wondering about it, we can say, no, I see. When my child was little, the sticker in their foot was actually more important than the sticker in my foot. Why is it different? Because they're my child versus my experience. If I can be aware of distress in somebody else, isn't it part of my experience, whether I feel it or not? And isn't everything I can experience coming out of my own karmic seed ripening? So who is responsible for it? Whatever they're experiencing is coming out of their karmic seeds. Whether they experience me helping them or not is coming out of their karmic seed. I am not responsible for their karmic seeds. I am responsible for mine, and I have the power to plant. I am constantly planting new ones. Once I understand that process, now I'm empowered to plant new ones in a wiser way. Is the wiser way to just realize, oh, wow, I'm planting a seed by pulling the thorn out of my foot. Yes, that's great. But all the more powerful when we recognize, the thorn in their foot is my seed ripening too. It's an opportunity to plant a seed in this vastly different way than I've done before, which is to show concern for the thorn in their foot. So we go to them. Oh my gosh, I see you have a thorn in your foot. Can I help you? What if they say, no, get away, don't touch me? We tried. We planted a seed for concern and effort. If they reject us, Geshe-la says, be prepared in your practice of trying to be more concerned and helpful to others for some of them to say, go to hell, leave me alone. It does not negate your effort, because the result that we get from what we did is not coming from what we just did. It's coming from we ourselves in the past saying, go away, don't help me. Which I don't know about you, but I've done that a lot in my lifetime. Can I help you? No, thanks, I'm okay. Right? That grows into get out, leave me alone. We do it so automatically because we are responsible adults, we can take care of ourselves. Do you see? It's like, huh, our ignorance even makes the mistake of not letting other people help us. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. It's just plain a bad habit to be selfish. We all do it, but it's just a habit. We can make new habits. Our habit of selfishness is perpetuated by our very culture. And so it's like swimming upstream. And it's funny because it's like, no, when we're little kids, learn to share, honey. Don't be selfish. Don't take it all. You need to be able to share, right? We understand selfish. But then when we actually be unselfish, society goes, what, are you nuts? Everybody's going to take advantage of you. You can't be unselfish like that. Like we're so mistaken. Our whole culture is just so mixed up. No wonder we're having trouble. So when we say, oh, nothing is anything but a projection, there's a discounting that's happening. I still feel it in my own self. Oh, so things are not real. Like I've been saying, the army's not real. My body as a whole is not real. But it does not mean that things don't function. Things function because they are projections. And anything that has its own nature, anything that is independent of my own seeds ripening, can't function. They can't actually even exist for me, let alone function or not. So within all of our seeds planted are the functioning of the things. So as they are ripened, they ripen as functioning things. So it's important for us to recognize that things function because they're projections, not even though they are projections, they function. Same for our efforts at caring for others. That's why caring for others plants the seeds that will take us to our ultimate Buddhahood someday, if that's how we plant them. Because seeds function. Karma makes things function. Not that karma is a thing that makes things function. We'll go there someday too. So Geshe-la says this new way of redefining ourselves, defining my me to include everything I'm experiencing at the moment, that leads to deathlessness itself. It leads to needslessness. Not having to do things to make your needs met. Things just are taken, they just happen. Right? And your you is a part of it. It's hard to conceive. So we're growing this at least intellectual idea of the value of, as we're experiencing others as others, we decide, no, they're part of my projections. I can call them a part of me, and then I'll help me in my usual way. It just now includes everything, everybody who's within this arena at the moment. It comes back
No, yo
bigger.
escucho bien.
It comes back bigger. It comes back as a bigger and bigger ability to do that. And it comes back as our own increasing pleasure to be doing that. So Geshe has said again and again, the best thing we can do for others is to reach that state of total enlightenment so that we can help them do it too. The way we reach that total enlightenment is to be trying to help them do it too. Just by everyday kindnesses, out of our way kindnesses. It means redefining our borders of self. And to resist this redefining is resisting this extraordinary great pleasure, says Geshe Michael, both conventionally and ultimately. Master Shantideva has shown us that we have redefined ourselves in various ways in the past. So we can't really say, I can't redefine myself, because we've all done it. He says, wouldn't we want to learn to redefine ourselves in a way that would lead to this incredible perpetuating happiness for everybody? If there's a way to do it, would we be interested? So he goes on. If we're still resisting the idea of working for others' benefit is equally important to working for my own benefit, we just don't want to try, right? For whatever reason. And he says that he's not just talking about physical pain that we see or physical hardship. He's saying anytime we even are aware of a mental affliction in the mind of an other, if there's something we can do about it, let's try. Because mental afflictions are the source of the behaviors that are the source of the pain that we have, both in the moment and what comes back to us later. And yet, we see somebody acting from jealousy. We can't get in their face and say, look, your jealousy is causing all your problem, right? You know that line, you know what's the matter with you? Right. I'm not interested in what you think is the matter with me. But rather, we see somebody acting from jealousy. Can we get in the way of their jealousy on the other and somehow direct them in recognizing the goodness in somebody else and being happy with it? Can we, be this kind of uplifting influence that helps, right, redirect, really showing by our example more than getting in somebody's face about their mental affliction? Mm. Again, the intention, our intention to help, our effort to help in ways that are moral, right? According to our avowed behavior, according to the 10 non-virtues, avoiding 10 virtues, trying to do. The result we get is not a result of what we just did. It's a burning off. So he's saying, if we're going to insist on only stopping my own pain, well, then expand your boundary of you and continue to insist I'm only responsible for my pain. You don't have to decide you're not responsible for your pain, just make you bigger. And you've already done it with your kids, with your loved ones. Do it more, he says. With practice, we can learn to do anything. That's Master Shantideva's recurring refrain. We can learn to identify with both the happiness and the suffering for others in the same way that we identify our own. Why? Because we and they are all our projections forced by karma. The projections are the ripening results. What we see ourselves thinking, doing, saying in that projection plants the seeds for new ones. We are the creators of our world, he's pointing out. He comes to another section. We say, no, I can't do that because this physical body, that is the limit of me. I can't think of that physical body as me. And he says, wait a minute. This physical body that you think of as me, it is made up of the blood from your mother and the semen from your father. It's not your body. It's parts of their body that have replicated. And you're you, this thing you call you, you say this body's mine, but it's not. So you can't actually say that body's not me, but this one is, because this one's not you either. Why didn't you make this distinction and not that one? That one's a little more subtle, right? It's like, come on, that blood semen of my mother, father, that's been gone for almost 72 years, but it hasn't. And technically, we still have its subtle energies. And technically, we'll use both those subtle energies to transform this thing we call our body someday. We need those two. So this Dakshin Yam J, me, others, exactly the same. When we have that as a realization, then in our day-to-day life, any suffering I can experience is my suffering. Whether I feel it or emotionally feel it or not. And any suffering that's my suffering, it's right for me to stop it, to try to stop it. Everyone has equal right to happiness. Any place I can try to plant a little happiness, I will try to do so. Next, Master Shantideva switches over to Dakshin Jewa. We had Dakshin Yampa, me, other, exactly the same. Jewa means other exchange, exchanging self for others. This is the one we commonly hear, but it means it's built onto the self other equal. Jewa, this exchanging their needs, putting their needs ahead of mine. This one's harder, but they say it's based on the fact that as long as we are continuing to put our efforts into bringing happiness or relief from pain for just this one, the results I get are one worth results. So if I could actually do something for my own happiness that then ripens as my own happiness, I've only made happiness for one person. But just to compare me to all the other humans on this earth, I'm 1 to 8 billion. If I make the effort to make happiness in the mind of you and me, then I've planted the seed for the happiness of 2 people. If I work for 10, I've planted 10 people's worth of happiness. And then 100,000. And then billions. And then all. Do you see the power of, I want to reach my total enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings? Because the all is so big, like technically it's infinite, that when we're planting our seeds for the benefit of all, that seed carries that all factor. It's huge, it's big, it's so big. That's why it's powerful. Just conceptually powerful until we're growing our direct perception of all, our bodhicitta. So the Jewa, Dakshin Jewa, is to learn to change our self-cherishing onto other cherishing, because that will be the seed planting source of this happiness that will come out of us, that is that every being happy. That's what we're trying to create as Buddhas. Every being happy, ultimately happy. Nirvana or Buddhahood themselves, whatever is their pleasure. As long as we continue to cherish ourselves, which means me first, my needs first, we limit our ability to plant the seeds to grow a world where other people are happy. Because we're continuing to plant the seeds to see a world where people plant the seeds for their own happiness, instead of planting their seeds for everybody's happiness, which is where anybody's happiness really comes from. So we're needing to change our own mind as we're doing our usual kindnesses as to why we're doing those kindnesses. Okay? And it seems like it should be so easy. And it isn't difficult. It's just habit that we don't do it. So we're learning to overcome the habit. That's Master Shantideva's gig. So his first argument for developing our Dakshin Jewa, exchanging ourselves and others, is that there are so many others, there's so many more others than me. And they are all our opportunity, right? To plant happiness for everybody. Why continue to justify, oh, no, my me is more important. My me's needs are more important than your needs. So in his verse, it gets a little bit cryptic. He says, for myself, it's wrong, but for everyone else, it's good. Okay, so this self and other, though, are very wrong and nothing but something you should reject with all the strength that you have. That was the delving into the self-existent me, self-existent other we just tapped into. The continuum. I'm going to let you read this for yourself because I'm running out of time and I still have a lot to do. Power of habit. We have the habit of thinking my body and yours are separate. Come on. Here it is. So he's talking about this habit of cherishing myself, which means putting my needs ahead of others. Come to understand that for myself, it's wrong, that self-cherishing. But for all others, an ocean of fine qualities. When I turn my self-cherishing onto cherishing all others, that becomes the source of all the fine qualities that I grow in myself, is what he's saying here. So discard completely my habit of caring for myself and learn to take on every other being. If we didn't first study the Dakshinyamba, this would make us run away screaming. But already understanding that me, other, exactly the same, in wanting happiness, wanting to avoid suffering, and coming to this glimpse that me, other, exactly the same, in that we are all coming out of my own seeds ripening, then, oh my gosh, cherishing them is the source of everybody's happiness. Like, why can't I just do it? How far can we go? When you think of your hands and such, we do consider them all a part of my body. So why then don't I consider every creature that has a body as being one of the parts of the body of all living kind? Because we don't want to. Our self-existent me thinks they will take advantage of me. They will hurt me. Because we've gotten used to it, we are able to think it's mine, of this body, which actually has no self. Why do we say then that we could never learn to think of others as me if we just got used to it? It's just a habit to say this is me and that's other. We can learn the habit. If we could, then we would never feel that it was strange or conceited when we worked for others. We don't expect congratulations from ourselves whenever we eat dinner for ourselves. We would just so naturally take care of others that we wouldn't need any kind of recognition or feedback, or even any help necessarily. For that reason, we must get used to a state of mind where we protect all beings, and to thoughts of compassion as well, protecting them just the way that I protect myself, even from the very least unkind word. Because of our attachment for our body, we feel great feelings of fear for little frightening things. Since this body then, I'm sorry, is a source of terror, who then wouldn't despise it like they would some hated enemy? I'm not saying despise your body. Please don't do that. I have a question on your homework that says, Master Shantideva gives us 5 things that we do that are mistaken deeds in order to take care of our body. What are those 5? It comes in these verses. I'm gonna leave it for you to read. It's all the ways that we hurt other people trying to take care of ourselves. Because there's something more important here that I want to go to. In our resistance to this Dakshin Jewa, putting others' needs ahead of myself, our belief in self-existent me and self-existent my stuff, I'm so sorry, ripens as me thinking, if I give all the cash that I have in my wallet to the first person I come to, I won't have anything in my wallet to get my groceries. And it's like, Master Shantideva says, that's demonic to think like that. It's so demonic, the demon doesn't even want me to say it. To think of others and say, if I use this for myself, what will I have to give is angel dharma. It's really beautiful if you think this through. When we give things away, they are gone. It is true, I would not have any more cash in my wallet if I gave it all away. But it's not true that I won't get my own needs met. So to say, I can't give because I won't have if I give, that's our misbelief, our self-cherishing. That's perpetuating the mistaken belief that by keeping stuff, we are assured of having what we need. It's actually the reverse. And it's so difficult because of the time gap. Geshe-la pointed out, Master Shantideva is not saying, give everything away and go live under a bridge, because we'd be in the time gap. If we gave everything away, when those seeds ripen, especially if we gave them all away to powerful karmic objects, when those seeds ripen, we would get so much more stuff back. We might even say, wow, it's too much. I've got to pass it on, right? And we would get into this cycle where stuff would come and it would pass almost effortlessly. And there, right? Money would be a part of it if it was still in our culture, but it wouldn't have this tangible power over our need meeting behavior. Our needs would just get met. And I wager that for most of us, we are already in the karmic ripening of our needs just really getting met with some effortlessness that we don't see as effortlessness because we've never maybe ever been in the position of not getting our needs met and having to go, actively dig through the garbage for something to eat. I hope none of you have ever been in that position. And so we are in this karmic goodness of receiving from past giving. All of that receiving that we experience is not because we kept stuff for ourselves in the past. Angel Dharma is stopping to think, if I use this for myself, will I use it up? Then I don't have it to give to somebody else. So rather, how can I use this to share with someone else? Geshe-la says, so do we never eat pizza? If every time we have a piece of pizza, it's like, no, I want to share this with somebody. We would never eat pizza. But technically, we would get as much pleasure from you eating the pizza as if I ate it myself. Probably even more, actually, to give it away. We think we have these physical needs that have to be met. Part of our boundary. All right, here's the clincher. And I'm sorry I'm over time, but I'm not going to give you the option to go away because this is so important. These two verses. In fact, your homework asks you to memorize them. The total amount of happiness that exists in the world has come from wanting to make others happy. The total amount of suffering that exists in the world has come from wanting to make myself happy. What need is there for many words? The children of the world work for their own sake. The able Buddhas do their labor for the sake of others. Come and see the difference. I think this verse is so beautiful. The children of the world means those of us who have not seen emptiness directly yet. We are forced by our seeds to put our own me's needs ahead of others. Omniscient beings who have overcome that need, that belief, now do nothing other than emanate what those others need. Whether or not the others see that they are being emanated to by a Buddha, the Buddha's compassion is that. They call it do their labor. It's not labor for Buddha. But feel the difference. Just this, anyway. The total amount of happiness that exists in the world has come from wanting to make others happy. It doesn't say making others happy. because we can't. But we can want to, we can try. The total amount of suffering that exists in the world has come from wanting to make myself happy. That's so profound. Trying to make myself happy at others' expense. I want to show you the Tibetan for those two verses. For the blessing to help this sacred stuff stay in the world. Zay is the word for demon. That demon belief, if I give it away, what will I have for myself? Lachu is angel dharma. If I use this up myself, what will I have to share with others? But here, these are the verses. Jikten dewa jinye pa, de kunje de dule ju. The total amount of happiness that exists in the world has come from trying to help others be happy. Jikten dunyal jinye pa, de kun rung de dule ju. The total amount of suffering that exists in the world has come from trying to make myself happy. Rung de. What's the matter with trying to make myself happy? Nothing. I just do the wrong things. How do I make myself happy? Teach the Dharma on teaching people how to get happy. Woohoo! Thank you. This is called Dakshin Nyamje. They put Dakshin Jewa and Dakshin Nyampa together. Self, other, exactly the same. Everybody just wants happiness. Everybody wants to be free from suffering, says His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And so I train myself to put their needs ahead of mine because there are so many more of them. Our minds still resist. And so please read this chapter again and again. Read the commentary again and again. The meditation has still been, where does my anger come from? Apply these same reasonings about what I believe is me, what I believe is them. It will give us clues as to where our anger is still coming from as we explore this Dakshin Yamje ideas. Every detail of our world is a result of some past thought, word, or deed that our subject side was aware of itself doing towards other. That process happening is our mind flowing along in a stream. There isn't anything we can't create simply by imprinting the seed for it. How do we know what seed to plant for Buddhahood? Avoid the 10 non-virtues. Follow the refuge advices. Take and keep your lifetime lay vows. Take and keep your Bodhisattva vows. Just learn the Bodhisattva vows and do those behaviors, even if you don't have them as vows. They're guidelines. Okay? We have access to guidelines. Yeah. And really, Geshe-la says it's all we need to know. Dakshin Yamje. Equalizing and exchanging self and others. As we do our low-level radiation kindnesses that we already all do. Right? We don't have to train ourselves in new deeds, new attitudes towards those deeds. It's probably a little bit harder. Bodhisattvas' careers are about creating more and more happiness in our world. Geshe-la says we can be like creative artists in figuring out little ways to do that. Does your secretary like daffodils or daisies? It's nice just to bring her flowers, but what if you could learn what her favorite flowers are and bring those? A little extra special. They thought of me today. Take somebody a cup of coffee when you go to see them, right? We all learned when you go visit somebody, you take something, right? It's just polite. All the ways that we are polite is already our bodhisattva deeds. You don't have to train yourself in some new way of being kind, new attitude in why to be kind and what to expect that happens next. Like to not expect what happens next because it's not related to what we just did. That's probably the hardest part. All right. Got it? Okay, so remember that person that we want to be able to help. These last couple of classes are really, really extraordinary seeds coming out of you. High level goodness. And high level goodness being planted, replanted on behalf of that other. And that's an extraordinary goodness. So please be happy with yourself. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone you can hold in your hand. Recall your own precious holy beings. See how happy they are with you. Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please stay close, to continue to guide you, help you, inspire you. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into our hearts. See them there, feel them there. It feels so good, we want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it. By the power of the goodness that we've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom may. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person, to share it with everyone you love, to share it with every existing being everywhere. See them all filled with loving kindness, filled with wisdom. And may it be so. All right, I'm stopping recording. Yes.